4 plays already for Miami and 3 first downs. Beck taking a shot.
Fast floats one for the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown!
3 on 3rd down tonight. Manny, quick time.
Hey, this is your man, Brian HRP, tapping in once again. This is the Supreme Court. Usually, I get on here and do some political, communal things, but we're not doing that today. This is a sports conversation. Last week, I called it a debate. It can turn into a debate, but this is what I want to replace the whole sports debate thing with. This is the Supreme Court. The reason I call it the Supreme Court is because in the United States of America, all arguments are ended with the Supreme Court. And that's why I call it the Supreme Court, because we're going to end all arguments, or from my perspective, we're going to end all arguments with the Supreme Court. The end of the bench presents the Supreme Court. We'll end arguments about football, baseball, basketball, whatever. I think it's crazy to sum things up with top 5 and top 10 and these things. If you've had 100 years of sports, if you had 100 years of entertainment via the sports world, how in the hell can you sum it up in 5 people, 6 people, 3 people, 4 people? I think that's kind of foolish. So what I've done is created the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is this. It is a group of people who settle arguments. The Supreme Court settle arguments in regards to legal issues, financial issues, and we're going to use it to settle sports arguments. Who's the best quarterback? You can't say who the best quarterback because the game evolves and it changes. Who's the best running back? The same thing. Who's the best wide receiver? So forth and so on. Who's the best point guard? Who's the best shooting guard? Who's the best center? Who's the best big man? We're going to do it in eras, and we're going to do it potentially all the time. This show will evolve on a regular basis just like we have. Now, if you want to watch this live, if you're not watching this live, you can go to www.theendofthebench.com and watch it. Give me some credit. Go to the website. Super dope over there. Check it out. And then you can also go on YouTube and subscribe. Hit like, hit subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tap in. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tap in. Be part of the conversation. It's going to be interesting, y'all. It is going to be interesting. If you haven't watched already, go watch episode 1. You see, this is episode 2. Go watch episode 1. Episode 1 was the quarterbacks of the 70s. You had everybody from Roger Staubach, Candace State Snabler. Go to YouTube, subscribe, go to the live tab, go to to the podcast tab, and you can see the first iteration. Now, the beautiful thing about the Supreme Court, you could be on the Supreme Court in the 60s, in the 70s, and the 80s, or you could just be on for one term. Some of the quarterbacks will overlap in this situation. I'm going to take this all the way up to the top. If you want to see me do a Supreme Court about something, whether it be hip hop, my specialty, comedy, another one of my specialties, sports, another one of my specialties. This is what I love to talk about. This is what I've been arguing with people about for decades. It's going to be fun. I want you to tap in. And guess what? It's going to grow to the point where we're going to have 4 or 5 people on the panel, and we will all collectively vote on the Supreme Court, which would be fun. Now, with that being said, let's get this show on the road. Episode 2 of the Supreme Court. This is the quarterbacks from the 80s to the early 90s. The very last one, the very first quarterback we're going to cover. Check if you want to see what this dude accomplished. You see, watch the tickle at the bottom of the screen. You'll see what he accomplished. His name is Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts is a member of the original Supreme Court. He's at the end of the Supreme Court, and there's really no ranking. We will do a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, meaning the best quarterback of this time. Right now, we're going from 82 to 93. This Dan Fouts, he spent the bulk of his he was a starter from 1972, 73 when Johnny Unitas retired for the San Diego Chargers. This dude, he is the architect. He is the prototype for today's quarterback, the way today's quarterback or the 80s quarterback threw the football around the yard, the way he threw up a bunch of points, leading the league in passes. He had Charlie Joyner. He had Wes Chandler. He had Kellen Winslow Sr. He had Chuck Muncie. He had the great I said the aforementioned Charlie Joyner, they were called Air Coryell, as you see, first team All-Pro multiple times, second team All-Pro multiple times, a Hall of Famer, retired, the all-time leader in passing yards in NFL history, one of the greatest quarterbacks most people haven't heard about. And again, the reason I did this show is because the outlets, they act like whatever's happening right now, I didn't see Dan Fouts. I didn't see these other guys kick ass and take names. Therefore, Dan Fouts this is his second term on the Supreme Court. He deserves it. He retired in 1987. He went into the Hall of Fame. He's in the San Diego, now Los Angeles Charger. Actually, they started off in Los Angeles. They were called the California Chargers. They moved to San Diego. Now they're back in LA. He is there. He would be, if it was an all-time great quarterback team, I don't know who would win, him or Phillip Rivers, but I would pick him. I ain't picking Phillip Rivers. Dan Fouts is the man, and that's why he made this second iteration of the Supreme Court. If you don't understand this, tap in, hit that chat room, start talking to me, because guess what? We are going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. We're gonna have some good music, good time. It's a cool out thing. Dan Fouts is the man. Respect him. Look at some of his highlights. Look at some of his statistics. And this is why I don't really do statistics. Statistics are like a bikini. They show a lot. They don't show everything. They don't show how they played. Dan Fouts, for him to put up 40,000 plus yards during an era where you can bump receivers in the middle of running their routes. Statistics don't tell it all, but Dan Fouts was the man. Next up, Norman Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason is not a popular guy in the culture because he says some inflammatory things. We ain't gonna worry about what he says. We're gonna talk about how he played. He took over for a former member of the Supreme Court, Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson was one of the best quarterbacks in league history, and Boomer Esiason picked up right where he left off at. 1988 was the crescendo of his career. He was a multiple-time Pro Bowler. He was NFL Man of the Year, league MVP, 4-time Pro Bowler. Took the team from ashy to classy. He was the last, before Joe Burrow, he was the last quarterback to be relevant and take that team to the Super Bowl. He is one of 3 quarterbacks on that team that's taken them to the Super Bowl. All 3 of them lost. Another thing that I don't want to talk about is losing and winning Super Bowls. If you don't understand how difficult it is to get to a Super Bowl, if you haven't played in that league, we'll talk about, well, you didn't win. The big thing is getting to the championship. If you don't understand it, that's your problem. Norman Boomer Esiason is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Please, please, please respect his game, respect what he's doing. This dude is one of the best quarterbacks in league history, so we're going to have to get him in a round of applause. Now, with that being said, next up, this dude played during this era. He's getting credit. He's getting grandfathered into the Supreme Court. The reason he's getting grandfathered into the Supreme Court because at the time he started, the NFL stood for the No Fun League. A lot of players were taking the alternative, and what they were doing was saying, enough. We don't want to go to the No Fun League. We're going to the USFL. It was a whole lot of fun. It was a whole lot of throwing the ball around the yard. There was a whole lot of things going on. Jim Kelly said, hey, I'm got drafted high in the 1983 draft class, one of the greatest quarterback draft classes in the history of the league. And he went over there with the Houston Gamblers, with the run and shoot offense, lit the entire league up, set the USFL on fire, and then came to the NFL and promptly took over the league. He promptly took over the National Football League. Jim Kelly is one of the greatest quarterbacks you've ever seen. During this period, he was the man. He was the man. Quarterbacking his team to 4 Super Bowls, quarterbacking his team to being multiple All-Pros, multiple Pro Bowls. This dude was one of the all-time men. And guess what? My man Fly Tie in the chat room just said he used to run the K-Gun offense. Guess what? The K-Gun offense is an offshoot of the previous Justice Boomer Esiason's offense. They had the fast, big offense. He got the K-Gun offense. And guess what? Jim Kelly, he did the damn thing. He was the man. Understand who he is. Understand who he was. I don't want to hear about no losing of the Super Bowls because our next Justice never made the Super Bowl. And he's on the Supreme Court. He never made the Super Bowl, but due to racism, discrimination, and other things, our next justice, Warren Moon, went to the CFL and dominated. This dude dominated the CFL like no other. He is one of the legendary quarterbacks in the National Football League. He's one of the legendary quarterbacks in the NFL. He didn't make the Super Bowl, but he let the league know, I'm here. Y'all made a mistake not drafting me. Multiple Pro Bowls, multiple all-team NFL. He was a 5-time Grey Cup winner. That means Canadian football Super Bowl. If you're not familiar with that, Grey Cup MVP, CFL outstanding player. And people don't realize it. Warren Moon, he's unofficially the very first free agent signing in the National Football League. It was a bidding war over this brother. He left Canadian football. People started realizing, wait a minute, they're doing a thing. And he came in the run and shoot offense with Miles Davis and the Houston Oilers, Warren Moon, Haywood, Jeffries, Lonzo Highsmith, Hill, and those guys. Outstanding offense. He played with the Vikings. He played with the Oilers. He played with the Seahawks. He was a few yards away from setting a single game passing record in the 80s, which was unheard of. Warren Moon deserves all the respect in the history of the world that he does not get, because we're not focusing on game anymore. We're focusing on, what are we focusing on? We're focusing on rings. Last time I checked, this is not boxing. This is not golf. This is not tennis. You need teammates to win one of the prettiest balls you'll ever see in your life. Offensive Player of the Year in 1990. Look, you don't do those things without being an all-time great. So big ups to our brother Warren Moon. He's doing it. Which leads us to the next person on the Supreme Court. A lot of people gonna not like this pick of the Supreme Court. I love it. This dude was the man. One of the triplets, Troy Aikman. This is going to be somebody on one of my running back lists, one of his teammates y'all also don't like. People overlook this dude's ability. What if I told you in the 90s, he is the number 5 ranked quarterback in yards thrown? Everybody, it was on Emmett, and it was this, it was that. Troy Aikman elevated his game. 3-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP. When you Super Bowl MVP, what does that mean? That means when the game is on the line, when everything counts, you act the fool. And Troy used to act the fool when he was 6-time Pro Bowler. People don't realize the numbers that this brother put up. Oh, the only reason he got this because he got the Super Bowl. No. Troy Aikman was the man. He had the ability to scramble. He had a howitzer on his right shoulder. He could throw the ball. He could make all the throws. He made some of the runs, but he was a pocket passer only because that's the way the offense was designed. He sacrificed some of his numbers, and Emmett got his thing done, but he still helped Mike get into the Pro Bowl. He helped Emmett. You have to be a very solid, more than solid, you have to be a very insanely good quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls. Troy Aikman does not get the propers he deserves. So guess what? He's on the Supreme Court, and he's getting them today. This guy right here. I remember being a youngster watching this guy, and he was called the perfect weapon. He was the first quarterback from our culture who was allowed to be himself. The aforementioned Supreme Court Justice, where is he at? Our brother Warren Moon. Warren Moon literally said he did not run as fast as he could during his pro day because he didn't want them to switch him. But you know what? This dude, fun fact, this dude led the NCAA in punting. He's one of the greatest punters of all time coming out of UNLV. His brother Sam Bam Cunningham tore up the league in the 70s and early 80s. Randall Cunningham is the 3-time Burt Bell Award winner. Him and only a few others have done it. Multiple-time Pro Bowl, Offensive Player of the Year, League MVP. Randall Cunningham was unrealistic. He was Michael Vick mixed with Tom Brady, mixed with Troy Aikman. He was the perfect weapon. He could do anything you needed him to do on the football field. And that, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, haters and bitter friends, that's why this brother is on the 2nd edition of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, again, this is not about the greatest of all time and who the GOAT. I mean, I don't understand how y'all have 5 guys and say they're the GOAT. The GOAT. greatest, meaning nobody higher. You can't have 5 people in the greatest conversation. That's why we had a Supreme Court. The 9 guys during this specific era who were the argument settlers. Who the best guy right now? And you name these guys. Randall Cunningham is one of those guys. Coming up next, we at the top 3. This is not a long show, y'all. We ain't here for a long time. We here for a good time. The next guy, another guy who, well, whether y'all know it or not, I think he better than some of these people y'all call the GOAT. He led teams to the Super Bowl when they shouldn't have made it. He shined every chance he got. The comeback king, one of the greatest comeback players in the history of the league. His name is John Elway. Big time arms, scrambling ability, tough as nails. During this period of my life, and even to this day, I am a Raiders fan. I hated this guy. That's how good you are. When you turn regular men into raw dog, buck naked haters. The man had a holes, league MVP, multiple time Super Bowl appearance maker, league MVP, Super Bowl MVP, man of the year, all first team NFL. Look at his accolades. And brothers, sisters, ladies, gentlemen, this is when you could beat the crap out of a quarterback. This is like you touch a quarterback helmet and you might get kicked out of the game. He was getting his helmet touch, he was getting his back touch, he was getting his face touch, he was doing everything. John Elway put at least 2 Super Bowls, at least 2 teams in the Super Bowl that shouldn't have been there. You can't name many of his teammates on offense. This lets you know how great that brother is. He was helping the game be easier for his wide receivers. You don't hear about his wide receivers getting their brains knocked out. John Elway is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he is on the second edition between 82 and 93 Supreme Court. Salute to my man, John Elway. Big up to you. Now, with that being said, we coming up to the last dude. Man, Fly Ty again say he thought Elway was a tough dude. This dude right here, he took the reins from Dan Fouts, being the most prolific passer of an era. He took that and took it to the next level. Dan Fouts was the first dude to throw for 4,000 yards. Dan Marino threw for 5. Dan Marino had no running game. Fouts had Chuck Muncie. Fouts had James Brooks. He took the Duper, the Marx brothers, Clayton Duper, and one of them should needs to be in the conversation Hall of Fame. You don't see, I think should be Clayton, but we ain't gonna talk about that. Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, Mark Ingram, Tony Nathan, who used to play with the Patriots, I think Urban Fryer, Keith Jackson, and a whole host of others. Dan Marino kept that team on his back. This is why I keep telling y'all this Super Bowl. He never won a Super Bowl. He never won the championship. That is some of the most foolish conversation that you can ever talk about a pretty ball. The man had touch. He could throw it all over the yard. He had phone booth speed. You never thought you never assumed that Dan Marino was going to outrun anybody. But if you got close to him, he had the ability to step to the side and put the ball right on the mark. Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. And sorry to say it, if you don't like it, sucks to be you. Y'all know who the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, but the second Supreme Court is one more game. One more game. We got to get Dan Marino. We got to get him his flowers. Here you go, Dan. But this guy right here, the GOAT, in my opinion, he is the greatest quarterback of all time. A lot of you say, well, Tom Brady got 7 Super Bowl wins. I will consistently say this dude is multiple time Super Bowl MVP, 3, multiple time league MVP, multiple time All Pro. This dude, look, like I said last time, this guy right here, 2-time league MVP, this guy right here has never had an average Super Bowl. What do I mean by it's never had an average Super Bowl? As you see on the bottom, you see the tickle at the bottom. None of you all his stats. Comeback player of the year 80, 89, and he won the Super Bowl. Oh, how about that? How about this? Joe Montana has 3 Super Bowl MVP on the record, right? The only other person on his team to win the Super Bowl is a guy he was thrown to by a guy by the name of Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice. That means he's never had a Super Bowl that was, That's why he's the man. He had to face people like Richard Flint, Tim Harris, Richard Dennis, Chicago. Tim Harris out of Green Bay. Jerome Brown, Reggie White, Steph Joyner, Dexter Manley, and Charles Haley in D.C. Howie Long, Bruce Smith, Lawrence Taylor, and Leonard Marshall, Pepper Johnson in New York. I can go on and on and on. Kevin Green in L.A. That's part of his division at that time. This guy right here faced far more stiff competition than any other quarterback that I've laid eyes on. It's making it easier for the quarterbacks. He wasn't in that. He was at the beginning of that, so you could still get your brains knocked out. As a matter of fact, one of the dudes that's going to be on episode 3 of the Supreme Court, he's only on the Supreme Court because that guy got hurt. Again, think about that. It's another Supreme Court justice that rode the bench behind this Supreme Court justice, and he is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The end of the bench presents the Supreme Court episode 2, edition 2. Let's do a quick recap. We have on the Supreme Court this second edition. One of the original members, Dan Fouts, Norman Boomer Esiason, the great Jim Kelly, the great Warren Moon. Oh, hit the wrong button. There we go. Warren Moon. There you go. Troy Aikman, Randall Cunningham, John Elway, Dan Marino, and as usual, the Chief Justice of the second edition of the Supreme Court, the end of the bench Supreme Court, the great Joe Montana. Now, if you have anything that you want to discuss with me, you agree, disagree, somebody you think I should have left off, you are welcome to leave a comment, tell a friend to tap in. Go to the End of the Bench Media on YouTube, subscribe, like, subscribe. No, you know what? To be honest with you, that's my man RC. He said, I wonder why Boomer. You know what, RC, let's just be honest. I usually have a left-hand bias. That's the only guy who don't get the left-hand bias. I'm not really a fan of his, but during this period between 1983 and 1993, Boomer Esiason is one of the top 9 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Most people will get the left-hand bias. I don't like him. It's personal. So usually, that's my man RC. He's been supporting me for years. I don't like most. If left-handed, if you don't know me, man, hit that subscribe, get to know me. Subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, tap in, be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment. I will respond to you because this is all about fun. It's about the conversation. But Norman Boomer Esiason does deserve him that. He won the league MVP. And if you try to, RC is having fun, but if you challenge the fact that Boomer Esiason on this list, what I would like you to do is this. Find somebody else. I just said something. What about Jim Zorn? Let's talk about it. I got time. Jim Zorn. How about this? I'm gonna let you answer your own question, Fly Tie. Is Jim Zorn better than Dan Fouts? Yep. Is he better than Boomer Esiason? Nope. Jim Zorn has never been better than Jim Kelly. He's never been better than Warren Moon. He's never been even close to being Troy Aikman. We don't even need to say these next 4 guys. Anybody else? Hey, but I do like the engagement. Last time you never let me down. I would say these are the top 9 quarterbacks of this era. And in a week and a half, 2 weeks, we will have another Supreme Court. I'm gonna put these out, put it out there to the world, chop it up, let everybody in the world see it. We're gonna have some fun with this. I'm enjoying this. This is my contribution to sports because sports is kind of like, I'm not gonna lie to you. And especially the Jim Zorn just played on the trash team. But would you say he was better than any of these guys? That's all I want to know. Right time you know your sports and talk to you on a regular basis. Which one of these guys would you replace with Jim Zorn? Guess what? Here's the thing. Jim Zorn played with all of these guys. And Jim Zorn never won a league MVP. He never got close to a league MVP. And the Seattle Seahawks got better when Jim Zorn sat down and Dave Craig took over. So, with that being said, tell a friend. Some man big Illinois said, what about Willie Beamer? He might be on the next. Willie Beamer, a little younger. Willie Beamer didn't hit the league. He didn't get into professional football.
to like 99, 2000. So Willie Beeman, he ain't old enough to be on this list, or he might make the next one. One younger MVP up, but that's the next one. That is episode 3. Steve Young will be in the conversation. He'll be in the conversation on the 3rd one. But Steve Young is going to be up. Sneak peek. Steve Young is going to be on the Supreme Court. Now, again, another recap. It ain't Joe. What is the Joe ain't going to be on? Is he going to replace Dan? Is he going to replace John? Is he going to replace Randall? Is he going to replace Troy? Who is Steve Young going to replace? Who are the people who you think going to be on the next one? Who are these people are going to be gone? And who is Steve Young going to take that slot? Whose spot is Brett Favre going to take? There'll be a few people not on here. Who's going to be? If you want to see who's going to tap in, follow your man. Go to the bench media. In the bench media, tap in, tell a friend. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We're going to have a whole lot of fun with this. We're going to bring actual sports debate back. We're going to bring actual sports debate back. We are not playing here in the bench. Tired of the people on ESPN, like the elder Denzel Washington said, hey man, it's like housewives on there. Y'all yelling and screaming, super passionate about nothing every day. But what we're going to do here at the end of the bench, we're going to reinvent the sports conversation. We're going to reinvent pop culture. We're going to talk about hip hop. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about anything and everything. If you want to need me to talk about something in particular, go to www and subscribe. And also, here's another way to get at me. Email me at theendofthebench@gmail.com. HAENDOFEADENCH.com. With that being said, it's your man H-Rap. I am the host. I am the host with the most, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. This is the Supreme Court, and I am